Episode 38, The Dudes of Hazards, originally posted February 25 and 27, 2013. It takes a mighty weird person to walk into a cloud of toxic gas strong enough to fell a mutant weightlifter cockroach, wearing a protective suit built under contract for the government by the lowest bidder. In the summer of 1985, I found myself in the US, standing in the middle of a toy aisle in Toys R Us, staring at a display taller than me, full of brand new G.I. Joe characters that I had never seen before. To say I was overwhelmed would be quite the understatement, and it didn't make things easier for me when my mom impatiently told me to pick only one. Under so much pressure, my eyes scanned through all the Joes and almost immediately focused on what I thought was the coolest looking figure of the bunch. As a 9-year-old kid, I had no idea what airtight or hostile environment meant. All I knew was that of all the new figures I saw, he caught my eye the most with his bright yellow and green uniform with a masked helmet. He almost looked more like someone from Star Wars rather than G.I. Joe, but I guess that's what won him over for me, the best of both worlds. When I finally learned more about Airtight and what his specific role on the team was, he became even cooler. As his file card stated, he was the Joe's hostile environment operative whose primary specialty was chemical, biological, and radiological warfare. In other words, stuff you couldn't take out with a bullet, and what normal Joes would rather not have to deal with. His bio also stated that he was a nerd who as a kid had a large plastic dinosaur collection. Another plus for me since I love dinosaurs myself. All that almost automatically made Airtight one of my favorite Joes up to this day. So you can imagine my disappointment when the 25th anniversary of G.I. Joe came and went, and a modern version of Airtight was nowhere to be found. When it became clear that we wouldn't be seeing an update of this guy anytime soon, I took it upon myself to make my own modern Airtight, ironically using a Star Wars X-Wing pilot helmet as the base for his unique headgear. I know my version didn't look exactly like the original, as I added my own embellishments, but he was good enough for me to fill out that airtight gap in my collection. Luckily, when the 30th anniversary came along, Hasbro finally released a modern Airtight. And just like many of the Joes who were skipped in the 25th line, Hasbro seemed intent on making up for the missed opportunity by pulling off all the stops to create the ultimate Airtight figure. The original Airtight was fairly simple. He had a helmeted head, his backpack, a funny rifle with what looked like a vacuum nozzle at the end of it, along with a few hoses to connect the helmet and the weapon to his backpack. This new version had all of that and then some. He now sported a removable helmet and vest, which is always great, along with some additional accessories like a second oxygen tank backpack, a gas chromatograph, and a shotgun. Because, you know, every hostile environment specialist needs a shotgun. Now all Airtight needed now was a suitable enemy. Enter Jim, from the land called Various Countries. Ever since he was a little boy, Jim yearned for a life of adventure. He knew deep down in his heart he was destined for great things. So when the Cobra's Special Forces recruitment wagon passed through his town, he didn't think twice and signed up to join their ranks. And eventually, after a few missteps and false starts within the Cobra organization, Jim finally found his true calling, that of a Cobra Hazard Viper. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So at the start, Jim's recruitment officer didn't know exactly where to place him. They knew he was too good to be wasted in the regular trooper ranks. So they did the next best thing, stuff him in a drill pod and let him burrow into an active volcano. Why anyone would do such a thing is beyond me, but this was Jim's life for the first few months in Cobra. He started out as a volcano viper. It didn't take long for Jim to realize that drilling into a volcano was just not his thing. Plus, bulky protective suit or not, it was damn hot in that pod. So pretty soon he put in a transfer request. Lucky for him, an opening came up in a brand new division of Cobra, and that's how we ended up as a Hazard Viper. As it turns out, it doesn't take much to switch from a Volcano Viper to a Hazard Viper. You basically get the same bulky suit, this time in a snazzier orange color, plus added gear like a fun liquid toxic sludge attack weapon that actually squirts out water. So what exactly is a Hazard Viper? Well, remember the dinosaur lover and Joe hostile environment dude Airtight? Well, the Hazard Vipers are basically Cobra's counterparts. Their version of a crazy guy who doesn't mind dealing with toxins and other dangerous chemical, biological, and radioactive materials. In fact, Hazard Vipers have an even more special role within Cobra. Aside from making Airtight's environment even more hostile, they are the keepers of the mysterious Compound Z. So what exactly is Compound Z? To be honest, I really couldn't tell you, but anything that could turn this guy into this can't be all that good for you. Unless, of course, being a mindless undead zombie is your kind of thing. Anyway, I think it's a fair assumption to make that hostile environments or biologically hazardous waste isn't on the top of many soldiers' favorite things to deal with. It's definitely an inglorious part of the job, but I guess somebody's gotta do it. So it's a good thing that both G.I. Joe and Cobra have their own special guys willing to handle all the unpleasantries. So does anyone else out there love radioactive materials and obnoxious gases as much as these guys? Sound out in the comments below and tell me your story. Thanks for watching Stories from the Toy Shelf Redux. If you enjoyed this story, please click on the like button and subscribe to the channel to help me tell more. Until the next one.